The Everything Sequel podcast is brought to you by Brew Bar and 2T Fitness.
The Everything Sequel podcast contains explicit language. 'Cause we learned it from you, Dad. Everything Sequel podcast. This is the Twilight Edition. My name is Michael Shantz of the How Dare You Awards. Joining me, you know who he is. You can't be fooled. Tom Stewart of Lonesome Whistle Productions. Hello, Tom.
You nicknamed my daughter after the Loch Ness Monster?
I'd like to show you on my notes where I gave a little asterisk next to that quote. Because I thought that's absolutely the best one to go through out of all these movies I've watched.
You know what I think every time I hear that line? I think I always have
starters, the same... that intimates that you've seen these movies multiple times.
A few times, yeah. I always think, I bet Kristen Stewart is a rough drunk. As when I hear her do that line, which is ostensibly in a parking lot, I can just see her at 2 a.m. outside the dive bar. It's those vapor thin white girls you got to be worried about.
You were talking to who in the corner?
Their fathers have the means and resources to dispose of your body. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
This is all speculation. This is not based on a true story.
I would like to think that the audience knows that this is not based on any type of research or investigative techniques.
Yeah, I just hope that nothing happens subsequently that makes this look incriminating.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we are talking not about the Twilight series, as I might have said before, Tom. We're talking about the Twilight Saga. And
very important distinction,
right? This is your attempt to get back at me.
Yeah, this is for those of you who didn't listen to our Harry Potter series or haven't been keeping up with our recent episodes. This is Mike's punishment for putting me through the ordeal of the Harry Potter movies. And by the way, as an addendum,
there are so many parallels between these two series.
There really is.
I'm very excited.
By the way,
one's good and one's not.
By the way, don't bait me yet. Come on, we've got time for this. By the way, as an addendum to that, just to an extra slap in the face, HBO Max have now put the Harry Potter movies back on.
Yes. Okay. You sent me a message about that. I can't remember if I replied, but not only that, but also now on some of the movie channels are that last Die Hard.
Yeah.
There's like a slew of movies that you and I had to pay for that all of a sudden I was like, fucking fuck, now these are all free.
While we're on the topic, Dark Knight Rises, which we had to pay for.
That was the other one. That was the other one. Yes.
So, it's possible that the person who controls streaming of movies has a real grudge against us.
Right.
But
we're making enemies.
It was so hard to see those movies, and now they're back on HBO Max. It just makes me want to give up all over again. I risk my life to see the Harry Potter movies. Listen back to the episodes, and you'll find out why. Yeah. But I'm very angry with the people who abruptly pulled the Harry Potter movies from HBO Max.
Then abruptly took them off.
Yeah.
So that
feels like they're toying with us.
So that you could attempt to get out of it, realizing, oh no, I got you covered.
Yeah. While we're talking about punishment, and this has been a long time coming.
Yeah.
We were supposed to just take a palate cleanser with the Rambo movies, which is a sentence you'll only hear on this podcast. But, we got some great special guests, Matthew Aldrich, Pete the Retailer.
Yeah.
The Batman movies were mostly free.
Right.
Mike kept...
all but one then, and all of them now.
Mike kept suspiciously putting new movie series on his DVR and telling me we had to watch them. But, revenge is a dish best served undead.
I can't argue.
And I think you got off easy.
Oh,
like
I did.
Seven movies versus 4. Mythology that's easy to understand. A multi-part movie division that makes sense. You're on easy street, pal.
Oh,
compared to what I had to go through.
Get the fuck out. If you think these last two movies separated are done better than Harry Potter, you are smoking the pipe of crack. You're crazy.
That's exactly what I do think.
Ugh. Everything you think about Harry Potter and all your complaints, I started noticing in my notes, are my complaints for this series.
Yeah. Well, I think this is a rare point of complete divergence between us. Oh, we're gonna have to do those movies at some point as well, aren't we?
Yeah.
Speaking of underwhelming teen fantasy movies,
right. Then I also get confused with something else, like the Maze Runner. Is that the other? I don't know which one's which.
At least you were confused. At least you're aware of your confusion. I would be happy to say that those are the same in the same series.
They might be, for all I know. I don't know.
So that's where we're at, and it's very difficult to find a movie series of sequels that would annoy Mike, and you let it slip during the Harry Potters that you were none too pleased with some of these movies.
To be fair, I wasn't announcing my displeasure with these movies during that episode. What I was talking about was Stephen King talking about the difference between these two movies, because he loves Harry Potter, in which he said those stories are about empathy and friendship and courage and bravery, and the list goes on for the number of themes that you could talk about in the Harry Potter series. And he said Twilight's just about how important it is to have a boyfriend. And yes. I don't think you can deny that.
I don't deny it, but I don't think it's a bad notion to base a bunch of movies on.
All right, well,
I'm totally serious.
We'll get into that.
You can't. Not everything can be Citizen Kane, Mike.
Clearly.
Sometimes you just want a movie that can wash over you. And these movies are like a gentle tide. At least as far as I'm concerned.
All right, you want I mean, I'm not gonna get into the declaring or anything.
Sometimes I don't want subtext, is what I'm saying. Sometimes I just want to.
This is your series.
This is my series. I say sometimes I wouldn't want to watch. It's like having I want to have a. The older I get, the more I realize I want to have a balanced movie diet, and sometimes that means watching movies that don't make you better people, but just improve your immediate surroundings. Improve, just let you you start watching them, at the end you go, "Aw." This is 4 movies that did that for me.
Okay, here's the thing. I do not hate these movies.
I know. I mean, it's impossible to find. You're so generous. I mean, like, listening to you on the How Dare You podcast, I knew this was doomed to failure because you see the good in so much badness.
All right, but I mean, I have lots to say on the subject. All right.
Yeah,
These movies.
as long as it's uncomfortable for you, that's all I care about.
These movies are strange. All right.
I don't think they are.
They're terrible, but they're
What?
also every bit as good as they are terrible.
Oh,
Now,
I might agree with that.
here's my overall take for the Twilight
good.
series, okay?
Nice.
Especially the sequels. Actually include the fucking original too. There are a total of 5 movies in this series.
Uh-huh.
4 of them sequels. Of those sequels, 3 of the sequels have what I can only describe as the Three's Company version of plot. They're all Three's Company episodes. They're all based on misunderstandings, and they're all misunderstandings that are so fucking should be easily found out,
Right.
you know, that I can't believe we're hanging an entire fucking movie on this, which makes me think about the books, which I, of course, have not read. So is this what's happening in the books? That's what I want to know.
Interesting. You say Three's Company, I say Romeo and Juliet.
Okay, that's my next point. I think she thinks she's being Shakespearean.
Yes,
she is not. That she just isn't. This isn't Romeo and Juliet level drama. This isn't only if this had happened and only if they'd done that. If only this word got to Romeo, then he would have known that that's not, none of that is present. It's he calls on the phone and Jacob, worst actor in the world, answers it and says, "No, I'm sorry. Her father is preparing for a funeral." Edward assumes this is Bella and just hangs up and crushes his phone and goes off to commit suicide.
Uh-huh.
If he just asked one more question, like, whose fucking funeral, he'd have realized it was not for his daughter and
Right.
not for the love of his life.
But it all works out fine in the end.
I'll say.
This is good. This is not going to annoy you and everyone, and probably in Western civilization. But in
Go.
some senses, it's an improvement on the ending of Romeo and Juliet.
For fuck's sake. Jesus Christ. So, should Romeo and Juliet all have been just a vision as well? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't think Shakespeare was
Everything
looking...
you just saw didn't happen?
Well, Shakespeare wasn't looking for a sequel. To be completely fair to you, although I am enjoying the amount of suffering I'm hearing, I have a lot of ontological questions about how these visions work.
You
Which
have to. There's
are
no
not
choice.
resolved by the end of Breaking Dawn Part 2.
No.
These visions seem to serve whatever function they need to in the story at the time they need to fulfill them in the story.
Here's my other thing, and I can't believe I'm saying these words out loud, but Breaking Dawn Part 2, the only thing it does for me, not the only thing, but the biggest takeaway I have for that movie is, I think we need one more movie.
Well, that's where you and I come in, right? That's why this is the perfect series for us in so many ways.
Obviously, we'll be taking care of that at some point, but I can't believe that the books end there.
Yeah, that's true.
There's so much more story to be told, clearly.
Yeah. It sort of does a kind of Clue-like multiple choice ending
right.
for us.
It
which
just
is,
doesn't have the, or this could have happened.
Which,
or
yeah.
did it happen this way?
Right. But I mean, we'll get into that, because the whole idea of visions being self-fulfilling prophecies is an idea that comes and goes.
Mm-hmm.
to the point of absurdity and nonsensicalness.
There's so much that's nonsensical about the things that happen in these movies. But I don't mind saying, like, I'm kind of a fan.
Oh, great.
They're not good, but they're pretty, like, delicious. They really do create their own world with their
Yes.
own rules that
Yes.
that are self-contained, that, like, and
that's what you want from monster fantasy. It doesn't.
and in that way,
yeah.
I think they really truly are successful on their own terms.
Yeah, completely on their own terms, and that's definitely where I'm coming from, because I feel that each of these sequels kind of achieves its own level of quality that is nothing to do with the rest of the world.
Its own level of quality?
But it is completely on its own. Like in terms of, if you think about ranking and declaring good or bad,
right?
I'm doing it in relation to the standards that these movies have set for themselves. Not really.
Okay, that's where I've been struggling. Is should I be doing that or not?
Well, I had a similar struggle. So basically, it was very easy for me to rank and declare. But once I had done that, the hard part was I had to dig deep and do a lot of soul searching to justify that to myself, and also in anticipation of having to justify it to you. And, that's...
Well, at the end of the day, I think I went with the larger picture, greater cinema at large.
Okay, good, because I have not done that.
Making my decisions. And it sounds like you stuck with the self-contained world of Twilight and only that. So it'll be nice to juxtapose those against each other.
Yeah, I think between us, we might have a fair idea of what these movies are.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you then.
Yes.
Which Twilight Saga movie is the best Twilight Saga movie of the bunch?
Well, this was incredibly easy for me.
Me too.
Do you want to say yours?
Chosen right.
Do you want to say yours first, or shall I?
I'll tell you mine.
Go on then.
My favorite Twilight Saga movie is the Twilight Saga Eclipse.
Yay! Mike did good. Yeah, hands down. I just think it's the slickest and most accomplished version of
what they wanted to do.
Of what they want to do with these movies, exactly.
Not only that, it's the only one that doesn't have a Three's Company plot. Like, the plot doesn't... All the other movies, the plot starts at least halfway through the movie.
Yeah, and just everything is a little elevated. The dialogue, the actors seem a bit more interested. The horror and action is handled in quite a legitimate way compared to the other movies, I think.
Yeah.
And I was interested to... I don't normally look into who directed what, but I did notice that since all these directors were different, I could tell watching them that all these directors were different, or at least nominally. I know Part 1 and Part 2 of Breaking Dawn are the same person, but let's call that one movie for now.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. And David Slade, I saw, had done some stuff that I have liked, like Hard Candy and
30 Days of Night.
30 Days of Night, and
a lot of episodic television too. An episode of Breaking Bad,
Black Mirror as well, and some really good episodes of Black Mirror.
Some great
as well.
episodes of Black Mirror, and I think like 5 episodes of Hannibal.
And it just felt, the movie just felt a little more knowing and self-aware about what it was. And it felt like it really the idea of a Twilight movie really gelled here, kind of coagulated in a really pleasing way. It's the third in the series, so I'm always going to say that. But
I'm finally
it is
on
it is
I'm finally
amazing.
on the movie 3 page.
But it is amazing how often that third movie just, lives in the pocket, as a wonderful term that Mike's introduced from his singing shows. No, but it is. I mean, it's like everything just kind of comes together and feels right. And the things I didn't like about New Moon, there was a kind of course correction on those as well. And I like the through line of like making vampires, making new vampires to attack the old vampires. I thought it was like a nice twist on.
Well, and it felt there's not a lot of horror to me in these movies, and that movie has some of that.
Especially not up until that point, no.
Yeah. And so I think that's another reason why the movie works, is that there are actual horror elements. There is an actual plot for this movie. From beginning to end, you understand the machinations of what's going on, the good versus the bad, and all of that just lends to an overall better experience as a film goer.
Just to underline that, I would say the cold open of Eclipse has more genuine.
I was also going to say that's one of
has more genuine menace in it than perhaps the entirety of the series.
Yeah, absolutely.
And certainly more than anything in New Moon.
Because it's the only movie with a cold open too.
Oh yeah, well there you go. It's the only real sequel of the bunch then. Because as we know, you gotta have a cold open in your sequel.
Come on,
for some reason.
All right, what's your second favorite movie in the series?
This got a little muddy, and in fact, I've gone back and forth on it a few times. And again,
I didn't have to go back and forth.
Okay.
I had to give it some thought, but it wasn't a lot of thought, and then I firmly planted on my second. Yeah.
It's really, really close. I'll do it. I'll give you the options.
Well, there's only three.
Does that spoil the next one? I suppose that spoils the next one. I won't do that. I was like, why don't we tell the listeners what we're considering? Like, what are the two considering? It's like, because it blows the next one. Yeah, basic like game show suspense rules that I'm breaking here.
I'm happy to tell you mine. If
go on then, yeah.
My second favorite is Breaking Dawn Part 2.
Okay, well, that's interesting.
And basically for one reason, and one reason only, the more Michael Sheen you have in your movie, I think the better it is for the movie. That movie has the most Michael Sheen. I'm on board for Breaking Dawn Part 2. And I got problems with Breaking Dawn Part 2, which we'll discuss, but of these four movies, that's number 2 on the list for sure.
My two favorite performances of the series are in that movie, and one of them is Michael Sheen, and the other is Dakota Fanning.
Mm-hmm.
For literally the opposite reasons. The most grounded performance versus the least grounded performance I have ever seen.
And you just appreciate it on that level?
Oh, completely.
Nice.
I look into Michael Sheen's eyes and I see an actor who doesn't know what to do, so he is going to make every insane choice that comes through his mind.
Right.
But actually, neither of those were contenders.
Wow.
Okay, I gotta make a game day decision, and I am gonna say.
Well, if neither one of those, do you mean either Breaking Dawn? Because there's only one other choice then.
No, Breaking Dawn Part 2 wasn't one of the contenders.
Oh, okay, so it's between one and New Moon.
Yeah.
Tom, you're about
I don't know. I really don't know.
You're about to fuck some shit up. You're about to make a terrible, terrible choice. Just so you know.
New Moon.
Worst choice you could possibly make.
We'll get into it when we get into the movie, but here, just
That's so funny.
Right. Here's something you need to know about me. I love Lifetime movies.
Okay,
but
then it all makes sense. That's
but
all I
also like production values, right? So the thing I don't like about Lifetime movies is that they're clearly filmed in a Canadian Airbnb. So when you have the nucleus of a Lifetime movie, but with expansive sets and famous actors and, all the money in the world for effects, it's a delicious combination. I'm going to say New Moon, but I really like Breaking Dawn Part 1.
Wow.
There's just one thing, really, that holds back Breaking Dawn Part 1.
See, story-wise, I have my biggest problems with New Moon and Breaking Dawn Part 1. But
it depends how you define story.
Right. So,
but if
we're gonna get
in
into
terms
this...
of story flow, those two movies really work for me.
Oh, interesting.
I just feel like I'm carried along by those two movies in a way that, again, like a good Lifetime movie does for me. You don't have to pay too much attention, but you have to just check in on it now and again.
This is the bar?
No, but this is
this is the bar these movies have to meet. I can make a sandwich while watching them and just sort of peek in on it. That's what you want?
For the record, well, I because I know that anything subtextual will be explained at some point through the dialogue and the screenplay.
Subtext. There's no subtext.
There is, and then they say what the subtext is, so you're left in no doubt.
Oh my god.
Okay, so yeah, well, there my next. Well, them. you know my entire list now.
So yeah, you're correct. You got Eclipse, and then your New Moon 1, 2.
Yeah. And really, the only thing that's holding back Breaking Dawn is a couple of big stylistic errors in each of them.
What do you mean? Oh, the Breaking Dawns, both of them?
Yeah.
What are we talking about? Effects?
There's the Homeward Bound style Wolf voiceover section of Breaking Dawn Part 1.
Oh boy, do I have problems. Because that comes out of nowhere.
That really does. That's what I mean.
That's like
it's
movie.
Unfair, but it's like, you have to recognize that is in the movie, but you also have to recognize that it's not representative of the whole movie. But if we're talking ranking, then that's gonna, put it above and below the line. And for for Breaking Dawn Part 2, it's the deep fake baby all the way. I cannot get over it. I cannot get over that deep fake baby.
I have like, because they obviously hired an actor.
I don't know what was the problem.
So I was coming into Breaking Dawn Part 2 with this question for you. I was like, Tom, why is there so much fucking fake child?
I don't know.
But it kind of made me fall in love with the movie because it's an inexplicable choice that I don't understand whatsoever, because it's also when the child gets to a certain age.
No.
And she's at
None
the
of the
age
reason
that the child they hired to do the acting is at. Or at the very least, they're choosing to do that when she's like a year or two younger. Like it makes no sense that they made that choice.
Every rationale you give yourself as to why there's a deep fake baby in the scene falls apart as the movie goes on, and they keep using that deep fake baby.
Yes. But I counter has more Michael Sheen.
Right.
So
you've got, so that's your number 2, and what's your number 3?
All right, I have to admit that this was hard for me because on my first watching, I was so against New Moon for so long.
You don't like love. That's what this is about.
No, see, that's the thing, is that I do.
No, but you can't, because this is just lots of love. Anyway,
that's the one with my most offensive, like, he's No, he's planning a funeral right now. I can't. That's a plot point that is hard for me to get over.
Okay.
My other huge problem with that is that his solution to that problem is to commit suicide. This is these movies.
It's a melodrama,
give a
Mike.
dangerous.
It's not real
these
life.
movies give a dangerous.
Yeah.
Idea of romantic love and the choices you should make.
You're not wrong.
Surrounding relationships that is hard for me to get over.
Not to mention the fundamentalist Christian undertones of the basic storyline.
I wish they'd pushed that further. That's the most interesting thing to me about that movie. If they had taken the idea of a soul and do we have a soul? Are you choosing to give up your soul? I don't think you hear this line until Breaking Dawn Part 2 where she says, I was born to be a vampire. That whole idea, the theological ideas behind it, and the sort of existential questions that movie has, I found very interesting, and I wish they took those things further.
Well, yeah, except that they're not being posed as questions. It's just this faintly disturbing sense of, this could be fundamentalist Christian propaganda if you want to see it that way, but you don't have to see it that way.
Right.
And I don't know if I'd want it to go all Passion of the Christ.
So here's the thing, I still have to declare. So I was juxtaposing all of what I just said about New Moon with Breaking Dawn Part 1, in which almost nothing happens.
See, you're wrong. That's what I thought while I was watching it too, but you break that movie down, everything happens.
Yeah, but it's...
We'll get there.
I know,
but there's a lot of big life events happen in that movie.
Right, so...
And that's why I think you don't like love, because they're all love-related.
I am the biggest champion of love. Pulling at my heartstrings, but only if I give a shit about any of the characters, and that's the one that I don't see. I'm talking myself out of it because that's the magic trick of these movies.
Yeah, it is.
They're not good enough for me to say I love these characters, but they're good enough that when they all end, I have the same feeling that I had at the end of the Back to the Future series. I'm like, man, did Bella ever go on a journey? Where we started, where we ended up. Holy shit.
And that all happens in this movie.
Yes. So I'm trying to juxtapose these two movies against each other. There are things that I love and things that I hate. And so at the end of the day...
Okay.
Oh, in razor thin, I went Breaking Dawn Part 1 first and New Moon last.
Okay. Yeah, I could have gone that way, I think.
Yeah.
No, I couldn't. Because of the deepfake baby. But really only because of the deepfake baby.
Well, that's Part 2 more.
Well, that's what I mean. That's why it's at the bottom for me.
I see. Okay.
I could have flipped New Moon and Breaking Dawn Part 1 easily, yeah.
Yeah. And I could too.
All right. Let's move
I have so many problems with New Moon, but again, in the idea of like succeeding on its own terms, I think it's really kind of delicious. But
yeah.
All right, good, bad.
Well, you're gonna think this is a setup.
Oh my god!
But Tom, I assure you, I have weighed the pros and cons. And
you're accusing me of no objectivity?
Well, yeah, we all remember when you completely uncritically said all the Harry Potter movies were good.
Because they fucking are.
No. We know that not to be true.
We know it to be true. America is on my side.
The problem was, they're
all good. That's what you're saying. Come on, say it. I dare you.
They all achieved a level of quality
subpar
that was roughly the same. that was about the same, and I have chosen to define that as good. So they're all good. The problem with that, aside from what you just mentioned, is
how wrong you are. That's the problem.
I don't think I have ever said an entire movie sequel series is good before on this podcast. And I'm a little weirded out by the fact that Twilight is the first time I have done that.
That's amazing.
Because there we have done movies far, far better than any of these movies that we're doing now.
Yes.
On the other hand, I don't think we've seen this level of consistency. So there you go.
All right.
No longer, Batman and Robin being a good movie is no longer the thing to hold against me. Now it's this.
I'll say.
You're welcome.
All right. Wow. Wow.
I know. What do you think? I assume the same.
I wish I could. I will go so far as to say the Twilight Saga Eclipse is a good movie.
Yes, okay.
But I can't say it about any of the others. I will say that I enjoy them, but they're not good movies. So, New Moon, Breaking Dawns 1 and 2, they're not good. And that's because they have these deeply flawed choices. The deep fake baby, the wolves fucking inner thought chat.
It's a deeply flawed deep fake.
Yeah, exactly. You know, the choices that the characters make in New Moon, I just find, I don't know, if that movie was set in like the 1600s and they like,
but that's its lineage,
you know,
Mike. That's its lineage. That's what it's leading into.
Yeah, but I think that movie's like actively doing damage to young hearts and minds with the choices they have that characters make. I can't forgive it.
There's definitely something to be said about that in all of these movies,
Yeah.
I agree with that.
And so, you know.
But I forgive them because it's the Christian thing to do. I could just take the easy way out, but I'm not going to.
Those three are bad. Good day to you, I say.
Well, we know where we stand.
Yeah.
And the weirdest part of this all is I will probably be agreeing with you a lot of the time. In essence,
you're not gonna have a choice. Yeah, you're gonna, you know that I'm gonna bring up what actually happens in the movie, and you're gonna say that's a fair point, but you're gonna be saying yes, but a lot.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, we're getting onto New Moon next, so no need to talk about it in detail. But I feel like going back to directors, I think Chris Weitz has got a decent handle on this movie, and that's part of what I like about it.
I won't disagree with that. It's like most of my problems are the writing, and so to me that has to also go back to the books.
And also, you seem to have a problem with Taylor Lautner, which we're definitely coming at things from different directions.
Tom,
I have a real soft spot for Taylor Lautner. I really do.
I think he's a very charming young man. He's a awful actor. He is
off air, I will show you a clip of a TV show that will make you fall in love with Taylor Lautner in a way you wouldn't imagine possible.
All I'm gonna say is
not in these movies, but off to the side of them.
I find him infinitely charming. Like, he draws you in, but he's also, like, for me, constantly in every movie, he's the reason why I'm going, ugh. Like,
but I like you.
If only a capable actor handled that moment, then I would probably be saying good movies, like you. And all I'm saying is, I can think of, aside from Twilight movies, I remember a movie, I believe I'm right, called Abduction. I can't think of a single other thing he's been in. Kristen Stewart, she's in our lives. Robert Pattinson, he's in our lives. All these other actors, like, individually. Rami Malek's in the last fucking movie. You know what I mean?
Everyone's in the last movie.
Yeah, he has an Oscar. There are
everyone
talented
from The
people,
Walking Dead.
Yeah, in this movie or in these movies.
Yeah.
And there are reasons they're still in our lives because they're far more engaging, better actors, I think. So, I'll leave it there.
He gets better.
No, he stays the
Look
same.
Look at me pulling the teenage actors
Right?
getting better card.
We are the exact
We're in
opposite.
the Twilight Zone of this podcast. Never
Right.
mind the Twilight Saga.
It's the Bizarro world. All your arguments from Harry Potter are my current arguments.
Oh, wait till we get to them. I have things to say about the multi-part movies.
Bring it on. All right.
I've seen the light.
Fucking fuck. Oh my God. Ladies and gentlemen, you're gonna have to write in on this one. I mean, man, I cannot wait to talk about these fucking movies, Tom. So please, fans, join us in the debate, in the conversation. We need to know what you think. Find the Everything Sequel podcast on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Send us an email to everythingsequel@gmail.com. For Tom Stewart of Lonesome Whistle Productions, I am Michael Shantz of the How Dare You Awards. Tom, it's Twilight Saga. New Moon coming up. Say goodbye.
I am hotter than you. I probably am, actually. This closet is nasty.
Stay tuned, everyone. You'll be hearing from us. Does the coronavirus have you feeling oogie? Have you been sitting on your couch for weeks? Nay, have you been sitting on there for months? Well, it's time for you to get back in shape. Check out 2AT Fitness. You can find them on Instagram. You can find them on Facebook. 2AT Fitness was started by Tina Bernard. She is ready and raring to go to help you get back into the shape you want to get into. They've got all kinds of classes. They've got outdoor in-person classes. They've got online classes if that's what you prefer. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get back in shape. You're going to find a variety of exercises. You're going to have strength training, cardio, weightlifting, even fun 5-minute burnouts that will push you to your limits. So get off the couch, get into shape. Go ahead and check out 2AT Fitness. Tina Bernard has got you for all your needs. I know her personally. She's fantastic. You're not going to meet a better person to help you become the new you. Check it out.
If you're anything like me, you spend the majority of the day wondering whether you want coffee, beer, or wine. Whichever way you fall, Brew Bar has you covered. Located in the heart of 3rd Avenue Village in glorious downtown Chula Vista, California, which is also my neck of the woods, Brew Bar is a coffee shop, bar, and eatery rolled into one delightful package. Tim and Alex run the place, and let me tell you, listeners, these guys know their coffee. And after you've been in their company, so will you. They turned me on to pour over, and it's literally all I drink now. If for some crazy reason you don't want to try the best coffee in the world, they've got espresso drinks, all kinds of teas, and even coffee cocktails. You heard me? Coffee tails. And we're just getting started. Bottle service on craft beer and wine, alcoholic and caffeinated potions, an all-day food menu with plenty of vegan options. All served up in an atmosphere hip enough to know you're getting the best quality, but not too hip that you feel the need to drive to 7-Eleven and get a bucket of brown swill. Brew Bar. It's the best place to be for beer, wine, coffee, and tea. And if you go, you might even see me.